Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Social Club podcast. Today's host, we've got Sara Hoyos Martinez.
Hello.
Right.
Every time I say Sara Hoyos Martinez, I'm like, oh, there's so much like emphasis. Like,
I feel like you need to shout it out from the rooftops, isn't it?
I just feel like us Latin surnames, we're very much like Hoyos Martinez, Somos Candela. It's like, you know, when you hear like Colombian radio programs, like stations, and they go all out and like they proper have like those deep voices and they're like, Oye, bienvenido otra vez.
Like when even like the commentators, the sports commentators with the football, the goal, like it's
and they go on for like, I've actually counted it. I think it's like a whole minute and a half without a breath, and they're just like, go. I'm not even going to attempt this because I know half of this podcast is just going to hit.
It's just going to be the
Well, yes, welcome. This is the podcast where we help women thrive and we don't gatekeep, and Tara doesn't like gatekeeping. So let's get started. Tara, please introduce yourself to the beautiful audience.
Thank you. My name is, again, Sara Hoyos Martinez. I am an actor, writer, director. I also have a day job. PA/practice manager. Yeah, I wear many hats. Hats.
Like I said, portfolio career.
Yeah.
You just do it all.
Model now again. I modeled before, but I've gotten into it again. Yeah, I think that's everything.
Wow. So which one was the first one? Like, where did you initially start?
Working or
like working we're like 16, you know, as soon as you get that national insurance card, you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna go get some money.
Yeah, I mean, so the whole thing started completely different. So I was gonna do sciences. I was gonna do biomedical science. I was at uni studying that, and I wanted to be a doctor. So I wanted to study medicine, and then, you know, life was lifing, and it took a turn.
Life was life, and it was giving. Maybe was it giving or was it not giving?
It was not giving. This is what was happening. Exactly. Life was lifing at the ripe old age of 18, 19, where you feel like you have so many problems and you don't even know them yet.
The thing is, what do people even want to do when they're 18, 19?
Exactly. This is the thing. Looking back, the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves to have everything figured out, and then you're just expected to know what you want to do at uni, which is such a huge choice. And this is why, I really applaud people who take the time out to give themselves the space, the time to learn, to grow, to develop, and then figure out what you want to do, and then go to uni a little bit later. Because, for example, what I did is I just jumped in. And I was like, okay, I didn't get into med school. I applied 2 years in a row. And the second year I was like, well, if I'm not wasting any more time, I'm going to go through clearing. And I went straight into the first uni that would take me to do what I wanted to do.
You did that too?
Yeah.
I did that too.
So this is what I did. And I went straight into bio. I actually went into, what was it called? Medicinal chemistry.
Oh, wow.
Which sounds disgusting. If anyone does it, well done, because it literally rattled my brain. And I passed.
Why did you choose that in particular? Why chemistry?
So because I had done everything to get into medicine up until then. So it was either biology or chemistry. And the only things that had a medicinal word in it, like anything related that was left with spaces, was medicinal chemistry. Wow. So I could have done that and then finished it and then done a postgrad in med.
Yeah.
But I went in, I did the first year, and honestly, I was scraping by. I found it so hard. I passed el año, the year, but I didn't want to just be scraping by.
Yeah.
So changed to biomed, and thought I was still on that path, and ended up winning Miss Universe while I was at uni. And then, life changed, but I still wanted to finish my degree we don't leave things half done.
No,
try not to.
We try to start something and finish it. But even if you don't finish something, I've always, there's a fly, sorry. Even if you don't finish something, at least you're aware, okay, I didn't finish it, but what can I do in my next project or in my next thing to make sure I finish it? And also you realize maybe that wasn't your passion, or maybe you just weren't into it as much as you thought you were.
Exactly. Figuring out why. You should always really be clear on your why. And at that point in time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'd gone off, traveled the world, like represented Great Britain on an international stage and all that. And then came back and I was like, I actually still want to finish my degree.
Yeah.
So I did. I finished my degree. And then after that, I went traveling because so many doors were opened up to me through that experience. And I was like, I've always had this dream of, doing a round the world trip.
Wow.
So I'd saved up money through university and obviously working after uni. And then I went and I blew it all.
I mean, definitely do it.
Basically,
you have to live your dream.
That was my dream at that age. And I put everything into it. I worked my ass off. I stopped going out. And that was life-changing.
What did you learn from traveling the world?
It just completely changed my outlook on life. And it sounds cliche or whatever, but it's completely true.
It's true.
My perspective on things was just turned on its head, and just going out and seeing so many different ways of life, meeting so many people, seeing how little was necessary. I came back and realized, wow, this isn't how I want to live my life. Like my priorities completely changed, where I was so focused on like having a career, getting a job and like getting a good salary didn't even matter to me anymore. And I realized that I love to do so many different things, and why can't I do so many different things at the same time? Why do I have to dedicate myself to one thing and only that?
And I guess because as well, like society and like coming back from like our parents' generations, like back in Colombia, if like you're a creative, it's like they applaud creatives once they make it. But if you're trying to only, but if you're then trying, like if you don't have a solid degree, like for example, like medicine, law, doctor, teacher, or like a proper academic profession, they kind of frown upon it. And it's quite shocking because I remember when I did my degree in theatre, one of my parents was like, oh, I'll pay for you to do another proper degree. And I was like, what? But at the same time, like I get it, it's a whole different country, like a whole different mindset. But it's really nice that you actually got to go to different places and be like, and then had a realization, why do I need to do one thing and dedicate my life? Which countries were you like that you felt really in tune with and like really felt?
So I spent a lot of time in Asia, and to this day I still say that it's my favorite continent, bar South America, because I can't be biased. And I actually haven't traveled enough in South America to say that I love South America. I love Colombia, but I haven't been to the rest. But Asia, just, it won my heart. From the food, the people, the weather, the places, the scenery, just everything was just so magical. And I left a little bit of my heart in various places, but the ones that really stand out to me and that really like have my soul were like Bali and Tahiti.
Oh, wow.
In French Polynesia. And I just felt like I had been there before, like in a different life. And
who knows, your past life you might have been there.
I honestly do feel that. And a funny story, might go off on a tangent, but when I got to Tahiti, I felt like I'd been there. I felt like I love French. I don't speak it fluently, but I like, it's very similar to Spanish, so I can understand it. I can read it perfectly. So I was there and I was like speaking to all like the Creole French people, and I went to get a tattoo because I felt so connected to the island. And so I have a Tahitian symbol tattoo down my ribs. And years later, in Bali, I found out that my middle name is Tahitian and not Thai. How I had like been brought up to think this whole time. Like my mum thought that it was a name that she got from a Thai model that she liked.
Oh, wow.
But in fact, she was Tahitian.
That is a nice little like connection there. You're like, I was always meant to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said like, you're always meant to be connected to what you need to be connected to.
And there's a lot in the name. I was like for numerology, and I feel like there's a lot in your name, and that's my name for a reason.
And that's the place that you felt more grounded without even knowing that's what your middle name was.
Crazy. Yeah. Middle name is Baitiere.
Now you know. So I was going to say, so obviously traveling is really important to you. How did it really heal your path and unravel your path to be a creative?
I mean, it's just traveling for anyone. It's literal food for thought, right? So I always, whenever I feel stuck, some people would see it as running away. And for a long time in my life, I kind of saw it as that, as like a negative. It's like, I need to get away. I'm feeling stuck. I need to get away. I need to run away. I need to feel lost. But realizing that I love the feeling of being lost in the positive sense of the word. Like I love getting out of my comfort zone, stripping everything back, and then remembering who you really are at your core, because you go back to the foundations of who you are, how you think, how you communicate with people, how you react to things when you're not in your comfort zone.
That is very true.
So that for me, being lost allows me to then find myself again. And that's why sometimes I feel like I need to just get away for a few days and just like regenerate.
I guess like when you travel, it's also very grounding. You kind of need to, in a place like London where it's just so busy, it's really overwhelming. Everybody's in a rush. Like nobody actually takes a time to pause. People say, yes, meditate, that's your time to pause. But really, as soon as you step out of the house, it's like go, go, go all the time. That when you do leave to another country, let's say to like unwind, go to the beach or wherever you wish that you feel more connected to, naturally you're grounding yourself. And when I've always said like when your mind is still, that is when magic happens.
Yeah, definitely. When you allow the fog to kind of clear, because a lot of the time you are so like muddled up and so busy with everything, like, you know, like being born in London, growing up in London,
it's exhausting.
You get stuck in it, and you leave, and then you come back, and you're straight back on the rat race, back on that wheel, and like, you're back like walking really fast.
Yeah, like you see like one of those tourists in front of you, and you're just thinking like, you really need to move, like, and then you just literally there's a little gap that you find, you swivel past them, and you're just like, ugh. Tourist. And then you realize that then you're a tourist yourself when you go to another country and then they see you, they're like, ugh,
it's such a London thing. You're just like maneuvering yourself through people, like a sea of people. But yeah, then when you actually take some time out, like you said, to just be still, I think that's why people find it so difficult to be still in London, because the atmosphere, the environment doesn't really allow for it. Then you have to do so much to really like nurture that peace and that silence for yourself.
Yeah,
it's like even more work.
Or also chasing something as well. Like you see other people doing, you're like, okay, I need to do that. I need to chase. I need to have X amount my salary. I need to do X these things. I need to have X, Y, and Z. But like how you were saying, when you went traveling, you realized how much little people actually needed. Everything else is just an addition. It's just an extravagance.
Yeah.
So which one came about first? Directing, writing, acting?
So I've actually been writing since I can remember. I used to write stories and poems, and from literally primary school, like I won like regional things and got published in a few poetry books by the time I was 10 or something.
I know,
but it's these things that you do at school, you never really think, oh, I'm going to take it seriously. And then the acting kind of came about. Like I always did drama at school and I loved it. But then, like you said, like in our culture, it's not really seen as a career.
Yeah.
And it was always something that was extracurricular. So I thought if I ever pick it up on the side, then maybe I can carry on with it. But it was always kind of like in the back of my mind. And it was like, people like us don't really make it here. Like, you know, in the UK, like we don't have any Latin, like people on TV. I'd have to move somewhere, whatever.
We'll have to move to America.
yeah, exactly. But then honestly, like universe did allow me to believe in that because it allowed me to see that these doors were open, that these doors were available. And I started presenting and modeling through universe. So I'd never even thought of it before. And then my modeling career took off. Then I started traveling and working abroad. And I wouldn't say that it's similar. Like the acting is a completely different skill. Like, you know, that it's like, it's a whole craft that you really, really, really need to nurture and really work at. But being in front of the camera did help me a lot with screen acting, because I know so many people that have come from theatre or something like that, and then they find the jump to screen acting very difficult. Yeah, because it is such a different beast. So modeling and presenting definitely helped with being on screen. And I've been acting full time since. So I went back to training in 2017 when I went to Identity, and since then I left full time work to really focus on my acting career, and that's been my main career, subsidized by the odd part time job here and there, which is half of the struggle.
It's really, but it's really nice to hear that like you've literally like, no, acting is now the main one. So congratulations for even getting there, because as you know, like there's so many actors and people that want to start acting, but they always get lost or scared with the instability of it. So you being like within different things, what would you advise to those that are scared to do the jump and get into acting because they're scared of being unstable?
So that fear never goes.
I'm back. Brutally honest. This is what it's about.
Realistically, it never goes. I'm very, very much in it. And I'd say I'm at the beginning of my career, you know. So it's a very, very visceral, real fear at the moment still. So I guess what has made it easier has been realizing, again, the why. Why are you doing it? And realizing that it's not the be all and end all as well. So it's not, I'm an actor, and if I don't make it as an actor, then that's it. And I failed and I have to change careers. That's why I think I started picking up the writing again and realizing how much I love that. And that's another avenue to be involved in that. But then also finding the little things alongside, like part-time jobs, like hobbies, like passions that nurture other parts of you. So it doesn't allow you to get so, you know, just like stuck in your hold. And it's like so tunnel vision in one journey. And then just it takes the pressure off.
So your advice is to jump into little things that you enjoy, that you know that can monetize, and also still keep your passion alive. Would you say it's persistency, or would you say that you've had to unlearn certain habits in order to gain persistency? I was like, what did I say?
Persistency. Persistency is definitely a necessity. I don't know about you, but I think as a culture, we have that a lot. I think Latinos are some of the most hardworking people.
That is very true.
Out there. And, you know, if it's from, you know, cleaning toilets to, you know, crossing borders, is very, like, that's very cliche, but it is literally, we will do whatever we need to provide for our families or to get to a certain place.
That's very true.
Luckily, second generation, we haven't needed to do those
very
things,
privileged,
which I'm very, very privileged, very lucky, and I feel very blessed for everything that our parents, grandparents have done before us. But that tenacity and that persistency and that diligence has filtered down, definitely. And I do see that in my friends, my family,
it's true.
My siblings, my cousins. It's like you just have this like
fire
This
that you want to
workforce.
continue.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like coming back, I feel like a lot of what we do is actually rooted back again with our Latin culture and also our ancestry, because we've seen our parents just do the most before that. I feel like inside us, we have this little nugget that we're like, actually, they've done X, Y, and Z. We need to make them proud. I definitely keep that in my head where I'm like, okay, if I do this, I need to be successful because I want to make them proud and everybody else proud. I don't know about you, but that is something that keeps me going, because I'm like, eventually, like, I want to buy this beautiful finca. So a finca is a beautiful traditional Colombian house, like in the mountains. Like, I want one in Calima. I love Lago Calima. Lago Calima's lit.
Yeah, I love that.
And I know I want to buy a finca, one for my mom and one for my dad. And I want them to retire there. Like, I want to give them everything. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, I need to work and I need to give eventually back. And they deserve to have this retirement. And obviously, like, I'm going to retire way after that. I'm going to live a long life. So, you know, I can worry about me later. But, you know, that's definitely what keeps that burning, which is definitely
definitely
well.
It is. And it's definitely a driving force. But I also have seen, and I would like to advise or invite people to try and not sit too much in that, because it can bring up a lot of guilt.
That's very true.
And it definitely has done for me, because if I look at the first part of my adulthood, I think I was making choices for my family and for other people and for people's expectations rather than for myself.
Yeah.
So where I know that I want to give my mum everything because she's given everything for us, I also need to remember that my life is my life and my decisions are for me. She will benefit from what I gain, no doubt, whatever I do. But I had to stop thinking about what it was that she would want me to do.
Of course.
And focus on what I wanted to do. And I think as Latin children, I think we do get stuck in the guilt of just really focusing on our family so much.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be detrimental.
That's a beautiful perspective and actually really opening, because I'm sure it's other cultures as well that also feel it. Yeah. Not just like Latin. So it's nice if like, it's very relatable to all
it resonates.
cultures.
Yeah, it resonates.
So what I was going to bring in, are you focusing at the moment more on acting, writing?
So my main focus is acting and writing at the moment. I just came off a Amazon series. So shot.
Can we talk about it or can we not?
I don't really know how much I'm allowed to talk about it. But
you will eventually see our Amazon.
It will come out, I think, next year. I was in an episode, and it was incredible because it was my first TV gig. And it was a moment, you know.
I was to say you were in Bridgerton.
So this is something else that I would love to talk about, because I think people put it down a lot. This is background work. So as a background artist or as a supporting artist, the insight that you gain is honestly invaluable, and people put it down to like being extras. So there's extra work, then a step up is background, and then supporting artists, and then featured artists.
So what would you say is the difference between extra and background work?
So extras are like, they fill up space. So you need bodies. Anyone and everyone can do any of all of those jobs. But I honestly think it's beneficial. So extras is really good side work if you want to, you know, just like have some part-time work, which is really flexible. They pay well per day, but the hours are long. The conditions might be a bit iffy depending on...
How long are the hours? Just so people can... Because sometimes when you say, oh, you're an actress, they're like, oh my God, that's really glamorous. And it's like, actually, no, this is a reality.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was doing supporting artist work for Queen Charlotte, it was about 13 to 14 hours a day.
Wow.
in a corset, and like the costumes are legit. It's like back then. So you have all of the undergarments tight, the corsets are really, really tight, the full skirts, the hips.
So now you know how they feel.
It's insane. Like, wow. To retrain your breathing, things that you don't really think about. But it also just gives you so much more insight and appreciation for all the different teams, because obviously these costume teams, wardrobe, the set design, art department, these are their livelihoods, and they've worked so hard to get every single little bit of this one scene perfect. So that was the first supporting artist job I'd done, and to be on a Netflix job, it just opened up my eyes to how much goes behind the scenes, like how much work goes on
the production
into
is
something
crazy.
of that magnitude. And it's allowed me to then feel more comfortable when walking onto a set. So even just learning like set terms and like hearing, you know, the lighting or the sound people just scream out terms, or the directors or whatever, or just like code names for things, then going onto a set, you don't feel completely just like when you're caught blindsided and you're just like, I don't know what that is.
Like, where am I going?
Yeah, like who just shouted? Like, which action do I go on? Like, when am I supposed to go? So I think that was really helpful, really, really valuable.
Is that something that do you think later down the line, is that something you would like to explore?
Doing more?
What's that? Production? Behind the scenes? Or are you more like in front of the camera? Because I know some people are like, absolutely not. Like, I would just be in front of the camera. Like, I've done behind the scenes before, and it's just not for me. Or is that something that you might want to eventually explore?
So what I've realized from working on a project last year, or 2 projects last year, was that I would love to direct. I love directing, because that's how I had the wonderful opportunity to direct the play, and it was just incredible. And that came from writing and starring and I guess directing a piece for theatre, and now writing my own pieces, straight away I know I'm directing them. So that's definitely something that I want to do more, and it just gives you more autonomy of the whole piece and more creative control, which sounds controlling, but it's just not. It's just
controlling.
Yeah,
it's not controlling to an extent. It's your writing and it's your vision as well, and you see how you want to see it. What was the show that you directed last year?
Try Again.
It was when?
It was at I forgot the name of the theatre, but the Hope and Crown, or the Hope and Anchor.
Hope and Anchor. Yeah, I think.
Which is a lovely theatre above a pub in Highbury and Islington. So the 3 girls that created this play, they wrote it and starred in it. They brought me on as a director, and so they gave me the opportunity, which I'm so grateful for. These 3 girls who created the play, starred in it, taught me a lot, and they gave me the opportunity to direct. So they brought me on, and it was just incredible. I learned so much about vision and, you know, picking up a script and then seeing how it should be translated onto stage. And now I'm doing that for screen. Soon I'll be directing a short. It's very much in its baby stages. I've been brought on. The script is incredible, and that's with some people I've met through Film Locos.
Oh, so is it with Victor?
Well, yeah, with that crew of people.
I love them.
Yeah, so
they are so talented.
I'm super excited. And just to get more directing on them about.
Definitely. I have to say, directing, there's something about it when, like, I've done it before, and it just seeing, like, just you reading it and actually making it come into life. I'm more into theatre, because when it comes to theatre, it's either a one night only or a one performance. Like, that is all it is. You are getting that. And yes, people are saying the same lines repetitively, like on different nights, but every show is different. But it's always down to the director. And like, even like as a director, you would notice and be like, they missed this, but nobody else would know, but you would know. that was missed. But even then, you're like, but I trust my actors.
Yeah,
Everything went super fine.
and that's what I felt last year. We had 3 nights, and it was just incredible to be able to step out of being, being in it, and then see how different every night is, and working with the energy of the audience and the cast energy being different on day to day, because I mean, yeah, you're human, you're different every day. So bringing something different to the exact same role, the exact same lines, loved it.
Honestly, it's a whole different energy of being behind and then in front. But I'm really excited to see your project with Film Locos, and hopefully like we'll be able to see it next year or in 2 years' time when they release it. They always do amazing screenings. So if you want to get into acting or even discover Latin community within acting and theatre, directing, film, definitely check out Film Locals, because they have amazing short films, honestly.
Yeah.
And you also was in one of them you starred.
Yeah, so I wrote that one. That's how I first got involved with Film Locals. They put out a casting for scripts written by Latinx in the UK. So Latinx stories written by Latinx, and one of my short scripts got made, and I was in it, and then it was the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
and great collaboration. Yeah, we love networking, and we love collaboration.
And now they're practically family. Yeah, I love those guys.
They really are. They're great.
Yeah. And you've worked with them loads now as well, so it's just like...
Yeah, I worked with them with Thou Shalt Not Seduce Nuns.
Yeah. Which I'm still yet to see. I'm looking forward to it.
I always go red. Like, I always blush. I was like, I was the nun.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
It's a salsa musical. So, and I think it's going out at the moment to like different film festivals. So when they release it, it would be out. And I might talk about it. We shall see. Stay tuned to find out.
I love it. But I do think it is such a brilliant movement that's happening now. I really feel like as a community, and like the Latinos are taking up space now. You see it everywhere.
You do. You've seen a lot of Netflix shows as well. And you're seeing more Latins being like starred as well in a lot of movies, like Netflix series.
Barbie.
Oh yeah,
that's the family. Barbie. Sorry,
I literally laughed when
the end.
You know, the guy turned around.
Si se puede, that one. Oh
yeah,
my god.
Like, si se puede.
Yeah, I just love it. I love the very subtle infiltration, because it's. I mean, we all feel it. We've always been there, obviously, but it's like we're now kind of like rising up, and it's
and
like
it's
coming
also
up.
Really nice not to see us in a drug circumstance, or also like being prostitutes. Like we're actually being quite empowering. Like we not quite. I've never removed that word. We are being empowering. Like to see America Soraya in Barbie and being the one of the protagonists. It was like, yes, you finally have a Latin character who's not sexualizing herself on film or on TV, you know?
And is a very powerful, independent mother. This is the thing, it's just like normal roles with people who are out there. And the girl, I loved the girl. She was brilliant.
She was amazing.
So yeah, no, I do feel like we are changing things.
Open doors.
But definitely there is leaps to make still in the UK industry.
100% there is. And you're definitely making that leap.
Thank you, baby.
So my last question to you is, what would you advise for someone that is scared to take the leap and go into full-time acting?
I would say think about your life in 10, 20 years if you don't do it, and whether you'll just be always wondering what if. Because that's what got me. I mean, you're always going to have some kind of regret in life. It's very unlikely that we all get by living life with no regrets. Ideally, I would like to have none, but it's easier said than done. However, I wouldn't have liked to have gotten to 20, 30 years down the line and thought, I always wanted to do that and I never tried it. So I know that I've tried it. I know that I loved it. I know that I don't need it to be my main income maker, and I'm not doing it because I want to be rich and famous. I do it because I'm passionate about it and I love it. So think about, again, your why. Why do you want to do it? Do you want to tell stories? Do you want to highlight a community? Do you want to do it because you believe that you have something to give? Like, you shouldn't, it's not the materialistic side of things, because I think it's like 2 or 4% of the acting community that actually make it are the ones that you all know. That's a tiny percentage. So above 95% of all of these people who are doing it as a living, you will never know who they are. And that's what you need to come to terms with, that I'm happy whether anyone knows me or no one knows me, no one knows what I've done. But if I'm like telling stories that I feel need to be told, if I'm inspiring at least one person, because I needed that growing up. So if I can do that for someone else, then it's worth it. So I'd tell people to really think about that, their why, and how they see that panning out in the future.
Exactly. And the thing is, what really stuck out is what you do not want to regret. Like, be like 80 years old and be like, oh, I really wish I did that. Like, that was a burning passion.
Because if it's calling you, that's your gut. That's your intuition. That's what we, like, as you know, in the rat race, end up muting and dumbing down. And we really need to hone in on that and try and find that voice, because normally it's your inner child. It's something in there that is calling out. And as humans, we need to be creative. It doesn't matter. Like, I've met so many people that are like, oh, but I'm not creative. I'm an accountant or whatever. But you're a human being. So there is a creative part in you that you need to nurture, because as a human being, you'll feel like you're not progressing. And whether that is finding a hobby, or whether that is, like, I had a friend who was an accountant, as I'm thinking of this specific person. They're like, I don't really do anything creative. And I was like, you strategize at your job. You connect people together. All of that
is creative.
Networking
in itself is a creative ability.
Bringing people together is creative. Problem solving is creative. So it's like, some people don't realize that they're actually doing it, but then doing things just for you as well, that you want to do and not that you need to do. That's also very, very important.
Exactly. Which is really, like you saying that everybody's a creative. It's so funny you mentioned that, because this morning I was listening to an audio podcast, and one of them was saying, actually, everyone is a creative, because when you're born into this world, you learn new things, you discover new things, you have hobbies, like you listen to music. So naturally, it's just whether you want to explore that at a young age or as you get older. But everyone is actually born a creative. So if you think you're not a creative, and like Tara just said, you might be an accountant or a lawyer, or, not saying those are boring jobs, I think they're great jobs.
They take a lot of work.
They take a lot of work. So we applaud you for getting there. And you do want to tap into something creative, don't ever say that you don't have a creative bone in your body, because you actually do. And as we get older, yes, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's just a new skill I have to learn. Trust me, muscle memory, you'll pick it up.
Yeah. And it's like people say, oh, it's hard to make time or things like that. But it's just bite-sized chunks, little bite-sized chunks, and, you know, taking time out for you, because your mind and your soul will thank you for it.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Tara. Where can people find you?
Oh,
and your work?
Me and follow. No, people can find me on Instagram. I'm always on there. It's just at Tara Vaitiere. It's VAI, and then normally I can come up. I forget how these things work. And hopefully you'll see me on your TV screens next year. And everything that comes up with work, I try and post about it on socials.
So make sure you follow Tara and be sure to watch out for Amazon Prime. Are we allowed to say the name yet of the show? No, not yet. Sorry, people. You're going to have to wait till next year. Just follow her if you want to find out and be part of any of the following future directing, writing. Who knows? You might be having a casting open. And if you're listening to this, well, you might be able to connect with Tara in the future.
Get in touch. I'm very, very approachable.
Literally. Well, thank you so much, Tara. It was a pleasure having you. Gracias. Besos.